Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food? Injection? It's important the entire world learns of your experience.
That's enough.
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Dress.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
All right, we're back. This is Lighting the Void. I'm Joe Roop. God, it's good to be back. Broadcasting from the Forest Tower in the foggy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. Glad to have you guys back. Glad to be back. Sure seemed like a long wait. You can check out our website at lightingthevoid.com. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/lightingthevoid. And follow us on Twitter at lightingthevoid. And don't forget, because we're getting some more newsletter signups, don't forget when you get that newsletter, you're going to get a book, Basic Astrology, Works and Principles. I mean, it's that easy. You just put your name and email in there, get the book, and drive off into the sunset with it. All right? It is September the 26th. The night is cool. It's actually like a cool human. But the crescent moon is waxing in Sagittarius on this clear and sultry night. If you guys ever watched Throw Mama Off the Train, the night was sultry. All right. Tonight on the show, how does sacred magic really work? With Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Strap in. All right. Get your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere locked in together and shoot that laser beam out your pineal gland into the void. Because tonight we're going to talk about some deep stuff. You asked for it. He's back. Now, this is a live show broadcasted on the fringe.fm and can be heard on lightingthevoid.com. TalkStream Live, TuneIn, Spreaker, iTunes Radio, Radio Guide FM, Radio Garden under Little Rock, all by proxy via the Fringe FM, and that's at thefringe.fm if you want to listen to the network. You can check out all our podcast archives on any aggregator app such as iTunes, Stitcher. TuneIn actually has one. Radio Guide FM, and many more. Now, you did ask, I'm just telling you. You wanted him back. You said we did a slow show, or right when it got good, we had to end the show. So we're doing it. We're bringing him back. You spoke, he's back. The one and only Doc Ram, the real Doctor Strange. He goes by many names. This is going to be a great show. So tonight in the shack with me, I've got my man Rusty Pate is back with us.
What's up? What's up?
No longer at the fair. How was that? Was that great or what?
It was fun. It really is. I always have a good time taking my girls up there.
All right.
Good times.
Did you get sick?
I believe it or not, I actually did.
You did get sick?
Riding just one of them simple, one of them rides that looks like you're in an apple. You know what I'm talking about? And
oh, yeah.
Circles,
Yeah.
You twist it. My little girl kept twisting and twisting and twisting, and man, I got green.
Now, Jeff is with us, too, from the Gilson Report. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, y'all.
And I don't know why we can't hear you. Is your Twitch on?
It's on.
Man, that thing's not working. Talk into it. I don't know what to tell you, brother.
Don't shut the Kmart.
No, yeah, right. Don't get Kmart mics, I guess. Now, you can call and listen to the show on the Fringe, on the Facebook, actually. If you go to our Facebook page, the Fringe, not the Fringe Facebook page, but the Lighting the Void Facebook page, you can actually listen live from Facebook. There's a listen live link there, all right? And if you guys want to send me an email, if you got some information or anything you want to tell me, if it's awesome, email the show at contact@lightingthevoid. Let me know. If it's awesome, we will put you in the show, all right? So, also, you can call or leave a voicemail if you want to, as well as 501-777-5631. If you call that number off there, you know, you got a cool voicemail, we'll play that too. We're not afraid to play anything on here. It's all good, right? I mean, it's all fun. Looks like Waylo just walked into the building. You did manage to leave your dogs outside. I thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Really nice tonight.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. That's a dang good thing. I do really appreciate that.
Didn't want to replay of getting attacked by your own cat.
Right. Well, the cat. Yeah, the cat is missing again. Actually,
Oh, he's out searching.
there's no telling what the cat is doing right now. It's probably tomcatting around.
Searching.
But anyhow, let's get on with this. You want to?
Let's do it.
Let's do this thing. We're gonna get the show going. That's kind of low. I think I figured out what's going on with Joe's mic now. Joe's magical tip of the day. All right, so develop a daily ritual or prayer that goes back to your upbringing. Use your system. It doesn't matter what it is. All right, it doesn't matter what you were brought up, what religion, what you believe, or whatever, but use that system to center your power with whatever resonates with you. Daily prayer and ritual. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, use prayer. If you're a mystic or a Hindu, use mantra. If you're a mystic, you can use ritual. All right, it does not matter. If you're a ceremonial person like myself, then I use ritual. Whatever resonates with you, do this daily. It will center you, keep you on that middle pillar so that you can learn to be the master of your emotions, intellect, desire, and thoughts. This is vital so you can get to that next level of consciousness. And that is Joe's magical tip of the night, right? Now, I'm pretty much an amateur when it comes to that, but the guy that's coming on is going to really explain this stuff to us, you know, so it'll all be all right. All right, now, famous birthdays for today. Olivia Newton-John, who played Sandra Dean in that Grease movie, was born in 1948 on this day. I believe she's 69 years old today, if I did my math right. I mean, you guys are all Grease fans out there. Y'all know Jeff is.
Oh, yeah.
You're a big Grease fan?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That was a good show.
I haven't got the slightest bit of clue why your damn mic is not working, but it's just done. Unplug it and plug it back in the back or something. Make sure that switch is on.
I can hear a little bit.
I can't hear nothing. That's what happens when you buy Kmart mics. By the way, we're taking donations at lightingthevoid.com. It's a little better, so we can take donations. Yeah, that noise in the background that doesn't make sense. That's Waylon. Thank you for that, Waylon. Appreciate it. All right, and this is a radio studio, by the way. Just letting you know. Jesus Christ. It does not matter, does it? I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. Hopelessly devoted. So we got Ramon in the chat room, Catalina, Heather. Of course, Jeff's in there making comments. If you guys want to join us in the Spreaker chat, we're over at Spreaker.com. If you just search Lighting the Void, you can find us on Spreaker. It's not a big deal. You don't have to, though, because I know most of you guys listen on the network anyways. But we'd love to have you over here. I promise no one's going to pick on you. We'll all treat you right, and we'll all treat you fair over here. All right, let's get on with this thing. Jeff, let's do your news. You ready? We're going to wrap this Nibiru nonsense up. I know you're tired of hearing it, you know, but how did this conspiracy theory actually start, though, right? Now, online chatter about this Nibiru thing actually started, it's been going on with this Anunnaki stuff, but it really got big back in 1995 when Wisconsin native Nancy Leiter created the alien conspiracy website Zeta Talk. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Miss Leiter claimed to be a conduit for aliens from the Zeta Reticuli star system, 39.17 light years from Earth. And she said that they have warned her about the Nibiru catastrophe. The conspiracy, that theory hasn't gone away since then. Now, that the David Mead, the Christian numerologist guy that everybody's been talking about and yapping about here lately, is also talking about the same kind of stuff, right? Now, he changed his mind. Now he says everything's going to happen in October instead of September. And the rapture is going to happen. And a 7-year tribulation period of wide-scale natural disasters is going to happen. And you know the score on that, right? So, look, why September the 23rd? We're going to do this and move on. It has been claimed an unusual celestial arrangement mirroring signs from the Bible's book of Revelation will signal the start of the end of the world. However, the Earth Sky blog notes there will be nothing unique about the sun, moon, and planets on that day. And Rusty's already told us about, when we were talking about eclipses, how many eclipses the planet actually has every 5 years. You know, we just think ours is special because it happened to be over the United States. So, just to let you know now, in the past 1,000 years, the same event has happened at least 4 times already. It happened in 1827. It happened in 1483. It happened in 1293. It happened in 1056. And this is what astronomers are saying. It's not the government. It's not NASA. These are astronomers that do the studies on this stuff. Right. We've been here before many times. So it's not the first time we've said it was going to be the end of the world. In 1844... American Baptist teacher William Miller first shared publicly his belief in the coming second advent of Jesus Christ in 1833, predicting he would return in the year 1843. These guys were called Millerites. Now, they were the first followers and Millerism, not related to Dr. Richard Allen Miller, by the way, because just to let you know. But they were called Millerisms, right? They became a national movement. However, when Jesus didn't come back in 1844, he became known as the Great Disappointment. All right. Now, in 1997, 20 years ago. That's hard to believe that's 20 years ago, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's when I graduated.
20 years ago, 29, you guys remember this, 29 members of Heaven's Gate, a UFO religious millenarian group, well, we'll just call them a millennial group, committed suicide with the aim of boarding a UFO they believed was hiding behind the Hale-Bopp comet before the supposed end of the world. You guys remember that? Okay. 2003, Planet X was also supposedly discovered by the ancient Sumerian people and was meant to hit Earth in 2003, but that never happened either. Dang. Now, I'm not debunking you. I'm just telling you what's going on here. This catastrophe was initially predicted for May of 2003, but when it don't happen, you know, they changed their mind. So when nothing happened that doomsday date, it was moved forward to December 2012. I know you remember that. I was selling cars when that happened. And it linked to the end of the cycles in the ancient Mayan calendar at the winter solstice in 2012. Now, nothing happened then. All right. The end of the world was also supposed to arrive on the 21st of May of 2011, with Christian doomsday prophet Harold Camping predicted the rapture would begin at, he's putting military time on here. I hate when people do that. 6 o'clock, right? In each of the world's time zones. It was going to happen at 6 o'clock at everybody's 6 o'clock around the world, wiping out naysayers with rolling earthquakes as believers would ascend to heaven. Didn't happen. All right. 2012, we're debunking this stuff again. An ancient Mayan prophecy theory about the world ending back in 2012. Now they're saying, oh, that was a misconception from the very beginning. That just means that it was a new earth, right? Everything was going to change and consciousness was going to come about. In 2015, Chris McCann, leader and founder of E-Bible Fellowship, said the world would be engulfed and destroyed by a great fire on October 7th. McCann said, I'm surprised by the outcome. And he wrote a blog entitled A Response to Being Incorrect with Predictions that, in all likelihood, the world would end on October 7th. Now, NASA, when people say don't believe NASA and anything what they say, when you guys go out here and you do these predictions and you go around on the radio shows and tell everybody the world's going to end, all you're doing is making NASA look good. That's all you're doing. Because they're dismissing all this stuff. They're saying it's a wild theory, and I'm getting to a point with this. I promise you. They're saying this is the wild theory. It's a bunch of made-up stuff. This stuff is never going to happen. Here's what's really going on. if you, just like Jeffrey Boyd Jr. was saying, just like a couple of guys was saying Sunday night, I blow that candle out. I think it's about to go down on me. If you actually check out the satellites and you check out not the chemtrails and the glowing stuff in the sky, but if you check out the satellites and the pictures that they're showing, there is indeed stuff rolling around in orbit in our solar system. And someone is indeed trying to hide it. The problem is when you go back and saying that you're trying to put your religious beliefs with this stuff, is when everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Stop doing that. Be more scientific about it. And I promise you, you won't get buttheads like me coming out and going against everybody. There's people on this network, the Friends.fm, that will argue with me to the teeth about this, and I have no problem arguing with them. But when it comes to seeking the truth, we've got to be realistic. All right? Because if I come to you and say the world's going to end in 2 weeks, and then I tell you I had an out-of-body experience, and if the world doesn't end, I'm now a liar. So you see where I'm going with this? It doesn't work. If you're a truth seeker, you got to care about saying the truth. You have to, if you don't know, or if you're going to make a prediction, or if you're even slightly certain, do this. Say, I'm about 80% sure. Don't sell the press on this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a bad deal, I think. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just ranting. I'm sorry.
Well, it does make it hard to believe anything they've said prior to that.
But I mean, and there was all kinds of predictions about this, and I could go on and on about all the different apocalypse predictions. And what happens is, it's almost like this to me. I'm not saying there's not government conspiracies. Obviously, there is. There's government conspiracies all the time. There is, but it's almost like somebody said, "Hey, Dave and Meade, go out and spread all the stuff about the Bible, because that when it doesn't happen." The next time something really does happen, they're not going to believe it, and we won't get any panic. I mean, that would be the ultimate disinfo, wouldn't it? To hire this dude to go around hot off the press, hit every freaking show he could possibly hit, and be done with it. Right? I think that mic's broke, Jeff. We'll fix that during the break, brother. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that mic got broke.
I don't know, man.
Couldn't imagine how that happened. Romper room in here. No, it's cool. It's all cool in here.
Romper room.
It's totally chill right now. It's about as chill as it can get. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. I just want us to move on from this. Look, if something's going to smash us in anyways, what the hell can we do about it? Really? But the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, we can do stuff about. We can leave our bodies. We can do all this stuff. Anyways, let's move on. I'm done ranting. All right. You guys know Ray Kurzweil. He's the big guy that has made all these technological predictions. How accurate has he been, Jeff? What'd you say? Close to 80-something%? 86% accurate on every technological thing that we've ever...
Damn.
That we've ever done. I mean, like everything that's came to pass as far as like cell phones and chips and everything. He predicted this stuff on a roll.
86%.
Yeah, but all the stuff that we talk about when we say that we're not worried about, or I am worried about. Actually, I'll correct myself. I'm worried about artificial intelligence, combative robots, and self-healing robots, and robots that can, split and heal themselves and all this stuff. And they're being trained in combative stuff in Columbia University. Nothing to worry about, Elon Musk says, right?
Totally safe.
He's actually looking forward to this. Mark Zuckerberg, the big guy at Facebook, is talking about this too. It has potential risk and rewards. In this case, Elon Musk says he fears artificial intelligence will lead to World War III because nations will compete for it. Exactly. That's what we do every time. Who's got the bigger toy? And he called it a doomsday scenario that makes all these countries, it's irresponsible, he says, to be optimistic about artificial intelligence. This is Elon Musk saying this. Nobody's listening. We're worried about Trump and Obama right now. That's so.
Man,
while all this is happening behind closed doors, that's what we're worried about.
That is mind-blowing.
Ray Kurzweil, the author and director of engineering at Google, red flag, thinks in the long run artificial intelligence will do far more good than harm. Yeah, after a human race is wiped out, I'm sure they'll take care of the planet. You know, despite some potential downsides, he says he welcomes the day that computers surpass human intelligence, a tipping point otherwise known as the singularity. That's partly why in 2008 he co-founded the aptly named Singularity University, which is an institute that focuses on world-changing technologies. We caught up with longtime futurists we are caught up with longtime futurists to get their take on this stuff right now. That's what we do here. We're like, what do? We search this stuff every day. Jeff's looking at, and I tell Jeff, I say, look, when you go out, let's try not to just keep pounding them with artificial intelligence stuff, because I know they're getting tired of it, because Art Bell used to talk about quantum physics every freaking night, and people got tired of it. However, every time something comes out, it's hard not to talk about it, because it is the scariest thing going on right now. I'm not a big fan of fear. I don't like fear-mongering people and all this stuff, but this is something that I think we need to do something about now before the baby gets out of hand.
Right. They admitted that they're using combat experts to train them, but they're going to be totally non-combatant.
I mean, Kurzweil even says many futurists, this is what he says, man. Many futurists borrow from the imagination of science fiction writers, but they don't have a really good methodology for predicting when things are going to happen. Timing is important to everything. He did predict we'd have self-driving cars by 2009, and he said, well, they're saying that he's completely wrong. He wasn't completely wrong. We had the cars. We just didn't produce them. Right. So he wasn't wrong about that. Anyways, all I'm saying is guys, there's a lot of things that I believe that are us as countrymen, as Americans, as a human, let's just say as a human race, that we should be standing up against right now. Number one is to protect our sovereignty. If anybody follows me on Facebook, if you follow my personal Facebook page, I'm constantly putting up videos about how people are getting mangled by the law for no reason. We don't have freedom anymore in this country. You think you do, but you don't. It's gone.
Yeah.
We haven't had freedom in a long time.
Freedom's been gone for a while. If anybody tells you and they get into that mode, they don't even read, all right? They can't read if they think that they're in a free country, because we're not.
We're just cattle.
Secondly, artificial intelligence is okay when you're playing with it on an app and it asks you, what kind of girls you like and all this other stuff. But it's not okay, like Rusty says, when they're doing this stuff in Columbia University, training these things to combat each other.
Right.
Or combat us.
Yeah.
When you got guys like Elon Musk and all these other guys petitioning the world, your so-called New World Order out there that you're so afraid of, that they're going to petition these people and tell them, we need to stop this before the baby gets. It's like a baby that you spoil, right?
Yeah.
When you spoil them when they're 3 or 4 years old, and you don't just let them do whatever and scream and holler and all this other stuff. I had a child. If you had a child, you know what I'm talking about. You're a parent out there, right? You spoil them like that. And then when they get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can do anything you want, but they will not listen to you. It's over.
Yeah. They're so far out of hand.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like we're about to do here.
Yeah. Yep, and it's going to be a whole lot worse than just a baby pitching a fit in Walmart.
Right. Yeah. Yes, it is.
These things heal themselves.
Okay. I didn't think I was going to rant tonight, but I started talking about it, and I started feeling it rise up in my chest, Jeff. I'm sorry. You forgive me? You guys forgive me in here?
Oh, you're good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I can't help but keep thinking of Terminator 2. Wasn't it Terminator 2 when they had that Mercury one?
The movie, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
See how much louder that is?
It doesn't sound louder to me.
We're here. Let's try this. Yeah, let Jeff use that one. We got.
It still sounds the same to me.
Does it? Okay.
But it was loud to me. It was just as loud to me a while ago.
That's why I've got the headphone amplifier. I'm going to do a video and show you guys my ragged out studio one of these days so you guys can see it and say, oh, that's why they're always arguing about stuff like that in there, All right, let's do this, okay? We're going to come back, and when we come back, the one and only Dr. Richard Allen Miller. You asked for him to come back. That's what we're doing. We're going to talk about the sacred magic. How does it really work? What is this thing with metaphysics? There's only a few authorities out there on this. We're going to talk to one. You guys don't go anywhere.
Pull back the blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hey guys, Joe Roop here, and I wanted to tell you about Gaia. Gaia empowers the evolution of consciousness. Now you can stream yoga, meditation, and mind-expanding programs that provide a true alternative to mainstream media, all to your PC or mobile device. Gaia also works on Apple TV, Roku, or Chromecast. Check out the My Yoga section where you can foster mindfulness in your practice with the latest expert-led yoga and meditation instruction at any level. Or visit the Spiritual Growth section and awaken your spirit with exclusive tools to help with mind development, spirituality, and self-improvement. My favorite section, obviously, is the truth-seeking section. Explore who we are and why we are here with specialists in metaphysics, ancient wisdom, the paranormal, and more. Also, the Health and Longevity series teaches how to nourish yourself with the insights and information from the forefront of alternative medicine, holistic healing, and longevity practices. Last but not least, hard-to-find films and series. Get inspired by hard-to-find independent films, moving shorts, nature and cultural documentaries, and feel-good films. You can watch on any PC or mobile device. Get your first month for only 99 cents and support LTV Radio by going to lightingthevoid.com/Gaia. That's Gaia. Again, lightingthevoid.com/Gaia.
Greetings, I'm Spaceboy. I started writing music at an early age, inspired by such synth stylings of the Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, Kraftwerk, Art of Noise, and 8-Bit. I have crafted my work into a hybrid of synth pop with modern electronica rock music of today, with pounding beats, high-energy arpeggios, soothing orchestral movements, and rock and roll. Spaceboy will surely be a part of anyone's music collection. So head on over to spaceboymusic.com and get you some cool stuff.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio with Joseph Roop. Stay up to date right now, lightingthevoid.com.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Roop. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
How are you doing? I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Welcome back. lightingthevoid.com. Broadcasting live on thefringe.fm. Thank you for sticking around. Glad to have you here with us. Tomorrow night on the show, I can't wait for this show as well. Ryan Gable from the Secret Teachings radio show, a vet of online radio. Man, oh man, you don't want to miss that one. He's going to be here tomorrow night. All right, let's bring in our guest. Author and researcher Dr. Richard Allen Miller reveals a depth of knowledge and experience in alternative agriculture, physics, and metaphysics. Miller began working in the secret world of Navy Intel, SEAL Corps, and then MRU in the late 60s, and now has amazing experiences and conclusions to share with us. Before many leading-edge concepts became trendy topics, like the trendy topics we talk about today, Miller was and is the international front lines of research. All right? Experimentation and documentation is his forte. His writings reveal a depth of knowledge and experience in three major fields: alternative agriculture, physics, and metaphysics. Today, Miller writes for Nexus magazine and is a preferred guest on internet radio. In the 21st century, Miller is reemerging at a critical time in humanities evolution where metaphysics and practical survival converge. He has been on countless internet shows, including Coast to Coast AM, Ark Midnight with John B. Wells, and you can check out all of his books and more. We're going to talk about that, by the way, at richardallenmiller.com. Man, I'm just glad to have you back, Doc. How are you doing?
Hi, my stock response is I'm going bald.
You're going bald?
Unnatural causes. I'm pulling my hair out. I'm at war. Someone, something is out there and dogging me in every step. Amazon, they're bootlegging my books, so my sales went down. They hacked my website, so I had to move over and get my own server. They attempted a breach on that to get in. I got a lockdown, and I'm now carrying all kinds of weird weapons. My preferred weapon is a water pistol with ammonia. That works real well.
I bet that works.
It'll stop a rabid dog where pepper spray will only make it weird. We ran perimeters in Cambodia at SEAL Team 1, and what we used were great English Mastiffs. We would whelp 2 a litter as a pair, so we'd have 9 or 10 dogs running a perimeter, and they were English Mastiffs, and there was nothing that could stop that.
Now, just a little bit of background for those on the network and on the show. You have helped train Navy SEALs. You have taught courses at high colleges, wasn't it? Like MIT and other
Harvard,
colleges like that?
I've taught at a lot of universities, Columbia. It's what it is I'm a polymath. I was gifted with what is called a eidetic memory. Eidetic memory is different than photographic. It's a superior system because I have access to everything I did from visual. I can take a pic. If I see you physically, I can pull your face up 10 years later and see where the various moles are on your neck.
Whoa. That's pretty trippy.
That demon seed that I told you about is a second movie after Corbin, the Colossus Project. And demon seed is where it creates a baby by impregnating a real woman. And transhumanism is a very creepy thing that Cyber City and Johnny Mnemonic, there it is, read it and weep. Everything starts with imagination. Your 3D printer started with, a replicator. And what was it? Danger, Will Robbins. There's your nanites reproducing themselves in the little ticks, tack on and eat through the metal. We've got those, So everything starts with imagination, and then we make it so in physics. Now, physics isn't any more real than religion. It is a closed system, like you have 2 brains. And the more you go this way, the more the physics goes that way. And it's a closed system. And physics does not have any more answers than religion does. That's a proper way to look at everything like that. That's a white hole on the other side of the black hole. And why you have a nuadol, that bottleneck between and power glass that you're looking at, what you have is a moment. And what you're trying to do is expand that moment from the profane into the sacred.
Right.
That's when something becomes timeless. Carl Sagan wrote about that in Contact. That's how Jodie Foster dropped down into that diamond body. There's your dodecahedral universe, and talk to the alien. Aliens are not what you think they are. An alien is an AI. That's how, supposedly, we are going to be able to communicate with them. It's how I had through interpret, sort of like Rome having a priest talk to God on your behalf. Good luck with that. I have issues.
You have issues? Is that what you just said?
If you had been born in Afghanistan, you wouldn't be a Christian.
Right, exactly.
Jesus said it, I believe it, and that's that. Right. You can, oh no, man. These belief systems are tools because they're arbitrary.
Right.
Okay, now you got that first lesson. Then that means that altered states of consciousness are also tools in a toolbox. I've watched a woman rip a car door off to save her daughter in a burning automobile, and you say, oh, yeah, that's adrenaline. No. Adrenaline sparked the alternate universe, but how does your bone not break ripping steel? Now, I'm going to talk about real physics, and there's something else going on here, and this isn't Kansas anymore, Toto.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah.
Well, it's a new world, and you can change the rules as your God-given right, because what made you God's favorite is that you had choice.
Right.
And guess what? Just because your choice is different than mine does not make you wrong. That's God's will.
Well, tonight I wanted to stay on topic about, because we talk about it right on the show a lot, about how magic works. And magic is just a word for me. It's just a fanaticized word.
Sleight of hand, sleight of mind, pickpocketing, Harry in your pocket. That's a good movie. Watch my hand over here. ISIS, look at they're beheading all those people. Well, they're doing that. 10 to 21 goes down. Now, I'm saying it's all stage magic. Magic C is legerdemain. That's the sleight of hand. Sleight of mind is a little different story. And because the brain is a four-dimensional hologram of 5-space, using that model allows another series of doors that were not previously available in quantum mechanics. And that's 5 dimensions. That means sliders. Anything you want. You take up a different viewpoint from the brain, and you can see a different reality. And let me tell you that. Change is always the rule, and you have a choice on how you see and work that. Change means you have an opportunity. Doesn't mean the end of days. Death is not what you think it is. I can tell you what happens at the moment and the moment just after death. I just wrote a paper on that, part of the non-local mind book, quoting Sir Roger Penrose, my mentor at Princeton. Now, structured water in a microtubule is what you call chi. It's right there on the surface. I've watched seafood, my seafood, John Leong, put a sword in his neck and bend it without puncturing his neck.
Damn.
Well, he did that. He had 4 students at that time. That was in 1957 with Bruce Lee, Skip Ellsworth, Fred Williams, and myself. And I watched him do it. I understood the chi. And then when I worked at the University of Washington under Jerry Pollack is the one that wrote on the 4th phase of water, which now is everywhere. How is it that you can bless water and then it'll kill a vampire?
Right.
Well, metaphor. I'm trying to go somewhere with this.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's the metaphor.
You
for sure.
are, just in the moment I've talked to you, have gone to at least 12 different alternate universes with your own thought. And the rules are different in each one of those places you went. And because you're an unruly, weird little child that's spontaneous and going every which way, you don't even notice the fact that you can lift 10 times your weight like an ant does.
So
now it goes down here. Starts with water.
How do we do a ritual or a prayer or something where we're using symbolism? And
how about garlic? That's a good one.
Garlic.
I like garlic. You get spooks out. You know what a poltergeist is? It is, at the moment of death, there is a 3.2 ounce weight loss in the physical body.
That's right.
Okay? That's the ba and the ka that the Egyptians talk about. Now, I'm starting to explore this thing. Timothy Leary wrote a book called The Varieties of Psychedelic Experience. And in that, he quotes from the Bordeaux Thadal. That's the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And he says the Buddhists had 4 reasons for getting high, and only one of them was for escape and recreation. Now, what do you think the other 3 were for? Now, this is our divine right for going. Now, when you do shortcuts, you've got to qualify all of this. Your grandma's house, through the woods, there are big bad wolves. I I watched Tombstone and realized that back in the 1800s, when they were doing morphine, pain, they had no concept or definition of what we call addiction. And the difference between an addiction and control is sort of like Simon says, you can go halfway to the door. You never get to the door, and you focus on the wrong part of it, which is about the journey. Now, I'm going to try to give you a sense of this so that you all got it, and each of you that are listening to me are going to get it slightly different, because that's why Magick, K, is the art of changing consciousness at will. That is a direct quote from many different sources, including Aleister Crowley. Now, I'm going to try to understand what that means. I was at the San Francisco, this big thing, standing room only. You have to have tickets in advance, maybe, 3-6 weeks ahead to get a table in there, and then they do a magic show. And my grandfather, Arthur Miller, was Houdini's teacher. I came out of a school of hand magic, and then immediately coming out of graduate school, first thing I did is started reading Crowley.
Right.
Now, why?
That happens to a lot of people.
It's like my parents were atheists. I'm not. I believe in God, absolutely. But they were atheists, and they sent me to Missouri Synod Catechism to armor me up. And I came out of graduate school, and I got assaulted just like you do, a high school kid going to college. A rush. It's called rush. And but the clubs that were coming at me were the Bohemian, Grove, Skull and Bones from Harvard, where I was teaching. They came at me, and I had to armor up. And what I did is I went and studied under Gershom Scholem 6 years and became a Hermetic Kabbalist.
Right.
I've talked to you about the teachings of Jesus and where he got him out of the Upanishads when he was in India.
Yep.
Treat others as you treat yourself. That's Upanishads, man. That's pure second epoch. There's other epochs. The Colburn Bible was used by Mark, Luke, and James. I'm a biblical scholar. And because I had to armor up, and there is absolutely no question that there is a God. In fact, if you look at the tree of life, there is a hierarchy, because above Kether, which is our God, there's the Baals of Isis, Ein Sof, Ur. And that's Bob Dylan. Everybody's got to serve somebody. Now, here's the bad news. It's all about food chain. Even in the science fiction, the end of the movie, Mercury Rising, the aliens say, yeah, it's all about food chain. Well, I've watched Orca chase dolphin, and I've watched dolphin run. So it's a metaphor. Now, with that said, to serve man.
Well, what I'm saying is there's a lot of people, Doc, that listen to this show, okay? They listen to the show, and you're saying a lot of stuff about the Kabbalah, and you're putting it all together and you understand all this, and I understand it too, but there's people that listen to the show and say, okay, but I know you're a member of the OTO. I know these guys, they do rituals, and they draw pentagrams, and why are they doing all this stuff?
I did that too. I started with 19th century magic. It's called sigil magic. The way it is you came from a Bremlin, the Maj, and the magic squares. And the squares are a bunch of numbers and a form. Saturn has 7, Jupiter 5. Okay. And you add it this way, it's the same as that way. Everybody thought that was very cool. Then you take the demon's name and you dot from one letter to the next, and it creates a geometric sigil. That's sigil magic. Currently used by Hartmann et al. Out of Germany. Wir wollen Deutsche bleiben. Now, with that said, we changed from the Megaton or fallen angels. That was 72 fallen angels. If you go back to Sumerian texts, I taught a graduate course on demonology at Georgetown with the Jesuits because I identified 68 of those from the 72 as Babylonian star maps. It gets better. It turns out what a demon does is a lesser part of you deemed unworthy. Jealousy, rage, anger. And the way the Chinese did it, Mudra, Conan, you see this alchemist going, yeah, and he's doing these hand gestures. If you put a light on that, what it does is it shows a shadow of a big dog about to eat you.
Right.
That's how it works. That's called mudra.
Well, what's
Magic.
the circle for then? Why do magicians draw circles around themselves?
That's between you. That's Faust. That came out of Faust. And you can find that in your so-called secret teachings by Manly Palmer Hall. And that's the secret teachings of all ages. That's a theosophical thing. Buddha does it. It comes in all the different schools. A circle is an imaginary line that you draw on where you are and where they are outside. It's imaginary. It's in your mind's eye because that's where it happens, not the circle itself.
Right. So it's not
imagination. That's reality. And that's why there's all these different rituals, from the more primitive Macumba and the way they do Obi dance to the whirling dervish and Gurdjieff. Now, Gurdjieff they had a movie called Meetings with Remarkable Men. They show how the children first start on how to tap dancing.
Right.
Moving head pictures. That was older technology, previous technology, where dance and sound were the primary technologies that moved space-time. And it's called resonance. And you've seen it in Dune when he has this weapon, he goes, bum. And it's all in the mind using sound. And sound is very narrow bandwidth in the electromagnetic spectrum, right there. Very sound, and it goes outward either way, microwave or infrared. And it starts with sound, and that's the word. And that's why older Bibles will include the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation, on how sounds relate to words. And here's where it goes downhill and weird. It turns out our languages and the redundancy coefficient is related, ain't none, backward speech, having also accordance and cadence. How does that work? That's because you have two brains. And there is an into, the out of. And that's Alan Dean Foster. You want to be sure to read him because he wrote Star Wars, Outland, and a bunch of other sci-fi that you really like. Alan Dean Foster wrote one called Into the Out of. Worth reading. He also wrote Maori and some other really interesting books. Read that one. And that's about sound and movement. And that's why paranormal, the Navy had me in studying that. Jack Schwartz could take this big needle, stick it right through his arm, pull it up, stop the bleeding. If you don't think the military wanted to know how that worked, that's the Menninger Foundation. I set it up with biofeedback.
That's pretty rad.
Well,
now you've got a series of teachings that are in audio that teach this stuff, right?
Yes, sir. I have 15 new audiobooks, 9 weeks each. When PC Link changed to AOL and they wanted to start social media networking, they hired me to teach a course through IES out of Humboldt on metaphysics. 11 years, 15 courses, and those audiobooks are the foundation for my next work's about to come out on 12 books on the holistic pathworking as workbooks, A, B, C, and the whole point of this is to teach you how to find your own way, because everybody is going to be a little different in the way they do crosshatch and stippling. And that's because it's an art form.
So do you mean everybody's, when they learn the fundamentals of...
on it, once they get the basic concept that what they're doing in their mind's eye is going to different universes. And that's a choice. Part you forgot it.
So the old Hermetic axiom, basically, you learn that all is mind, and this is just one big consciousness. So we're really
what do you
playing.
think the upper brain that you associate with the mind? That brain is there to make all your beliefs true. I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't believed it.
Right.
Well, look at it that way as a model, and look where you can go with that. And that's where I started SEALs, and that's how the future, when you integrate it in the moment, changes.
Then let me ask you this question then. It's pretty simple. Then why do they start out all initiates when they go into these mystery schools? They teach all these initiates like what?
Distractions that keep you like Alan D. Paul Foster Case. Paul Foster Case, when he did his Necker cube of space, he made errors in it for only the initiated to see where the errors were. Hey, throw a road to keep you, to make sure you're being mindful, keeping your eye on the ball.
I know they do that in Blue Lodge Masonry. I know that for a fact.
I know they do that in all the saints in history, suggesting that meditation is the importance of training the mind to be a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's what I know. And I'm a satsangi initiated to Sharon Singh. I went out and went like Jesus, any other seeker. I wanted to find a teacher. Look, a teacher can only take you as far as they themselves have been. And right now, as far as I know, I'm not only a master magician, I may be the sorcerer supreme. I don't know. I drive a 280Z. What do you think? And I there it is. I walk the talk, not because of fame and glory. It has nothing to do with that. We're at war. We're at war on levels you can't even imagine, except the comic book showed it. You ought to try Son of Satan. That's a good comic. Or Warlock. And those are really good comics. Doctor Strange was the one that started bottling Dormammu, which was a multi-dimension entity that was consuming universes, plural.
Prometheus is a good one, too.
Prometheus, my second wife, Iona, is Eo, coming out of the sea to set me free. She's the one that gave me Jungian psychology, because I was a physicist and I was an anesthesiologist, Harvard Medical, with internship at UW. And I am as credentialed as you can imagine. I know I don't know. And by giving Carl Jung, how did Carl Jung put it when they asked him, what was it like to be on the shoulders of a great man, Sigmund Freud? He said, well, looking down, one can see much further up here. I studied under James Hillman, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Those were my teachers. And I've got that part integrated in with A Modern Alchemist and Pantheon, which sequels that. It's in press. It's 22 chapters, 22 stories in the big city, and how to integrate them. And it's called Archetypes in Daily Living, how to work in metaphor. Once you do that, you have stepped outside mind control. And
sidestep the program, basically.
Well, TV. How did the CIA mind control? No, we don't need mind control. We got TV. Hey kids, what time is it? Howdy doody. Started with Bob and Clarabelle. Listen, and there's Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring. I remember it all.
Well, let me ask you this then: if I showed you, and this is a fascinating experiment to me. If I showed you the pentagram, the 5-pointed star, what does that mean to you?
Oh, the points of man. You got a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. That's one way. You've got 6. That's law. 7. That's a different kind of law. Dog catchers and animal. 8. They all have meaning,
right?
And they have meaning from different religions, like bones, throwing the bones, or runes. Different than I Ching. I Ching is the one I chose because it has 8. Timothy Leary used that with 8 neurotransmitters. It's arbitrary, like Crowley does Liber, which is books. I use 8 chapters now. And every single one of my books has a secondary code now in it for those that look for it, and why this chapter is number 4, not for number 5. And that codex has to do with Timothy Leary, and you'll find that in workbook 1 at the very end. And ketamine, which is the very top one, at the very last point, because Don Moore was working in the lab next to me doing ketamine, telepathy, and BZ studies. And
ketamine, that's some pretty hard stuff, though, isn't it?
That was in 1970, okay? That's where I was in 1970. Anesthesiologist Jerry Pollack. And that's how many years ago? Now, I'm the physicist because Jerry was my lead. But Jerry didn't have top secret clearance. I was around the corner in the locked part on 4th floor for the boys from Brazil. You don't even want to know what I was doing. But John Moore was doing ketamine, and his wife, Marcia Moore, that wrote for Llewellyn and did some bullshit books on astrology, was hanging out with Wayne Aho and George Adamski in Arlington, the UFO group. And they wanted to have a close encounter using ketamine. Because they will. And that's a dimensional gate thing. And what they called me in when they found her severed head in the Florida Everglades 2 hours before she was dead in Seattle.
Oh, my gosh.
That's what I did for the military. Whenever there was something weird, and they couldn't figure it out, they brought in an A-team. Newsflash. We never figured it out either. We caught a lot of flies, mouth open in disbelief. And I've seen things, and now I'm getting a better sense of how it all works. You are going in and out of altered states. That chill that runs up and down your body, you can generate that. That's N, and hyphen, dimethyltryptamine. And when you take ayahuasca, the real stuff has dimethyltryptamine in it. What that does, it's like a toxin. Acid, LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide. It's a toxin. When you take it, the body freaks out, goes, oh my God, produces its own chemical analog, and that toxin is flushed into the urine within 20 minutes. And the 20 hours of hallucinations are from your own brain chemistry.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like torture, Doc.
No. It jump-started my brain. That's what it is. We all do it. We don't do it enough that we atrophy, like your so-called pineal gland. You can get that chill. Listen, one of the programs I did with SEALs is it turns out that chill, Sri Aurobindo, Gopai Krishna, that is in a very narrow light beam called visible region. It's a visible light band going up and down your spine. And if you set your spine correctly, you can stimulate the pineal gland. And one of the things I did is regenerate nerve tissue in the neural cavity by stimulating the pineal gland. It sets up a resonant cavity, and now instead of producing glial cells, you can produce true nerve tissue. And that's Robert O. Becker in my monumental paper. And today, using exclusion zone water and olive oil, you can repair the mycophagia and the aging process.
Now, all this stuff is taught in your books, right? All the stuff that you're throwing at us right now is in all your material.
And I'm quoting in the audiobooks. The first book, Metaphysical 1, is Secret Teachings of All Ages, Manly Palmer Hall's book. And it's just as one of the downloads and references that I quoted when I first started. At the end of the day, some of the books I use, and I'm grabbing one right now that about blow everybody's mind. This was in 1997. I started teaching out of this book. It's called Brain, Symbol, and Experience Toward a Neurophenomenology of Human Consciousness with Laughlin, McManus, and Niccoli. Now, there's a book on magic. It's today called Cybernetic Anthropology. Basic constructs are the way you lay out a city. Chicago, or ghetto here and the water over there and the shopping center here, sets up a certain mentat of consciousness that distinguishes the jazz that comes out of Chicago different than New York City or Washington, D.C. And that is that group mentat of how we're being programmed. And we talked about these things in Power Tools because those were the 8 protocols I gave SEAL. One of them is, and here's when you can start. It's real magic. Learn how to change your perception of time by using breath control. You start with a straw, graduate to a didgeridoo, and by the end of the day, you're like Kill Bill blowing an Indian flute, like Kenny G for 9 minutes. I think that changes your ability.
That's cool.
No. If you don't think that doesn't change your ability in martial arts, it put my SEALs into paranormal boxing with a precision Tai Chi.
Paranormal boxing. I don't think I've ever heard that before, Doc.
What's that?
Did you say paranormal boxing?
Yeah, that's how you do it. If you could experience Hung Gao, Kung Fu means excellence. You can have Kung Fu and ballet. If you did Hung Gao, let's say Hung Gao, if you experienced it as Tai Chi, as a Chan Buddhist would teach it. Now, there's nothing that can defend it. Your precision is beyond normal. Because everything, you have the precision of having perfect roundness and softness. And when you go into that state, the ability in boxing, you're in an altered state. You're not clear-minded, but you're in enough. You can control what's going on in the form of the physical plane. And that's why SEALs became Navy SEALs as a myth, because they were super soldiers. We didn't call them that back then. We didn't call it Navy SEALs. They were SEAL Corp out of Amherst. They got me out of anesthesiology, and I used biofeedback so I could train them how to control parasympathetic nervous system, biofeedback.
Right.
And this gives a really important one. You control heart rate, pulse, and respiration. What can you do? Polygraph? Yeah. Interrogation? NLP? Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? When we come back, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. I know we just threw a whole lot at you. It is not an easy thing to simplify this world of metaphysics. But I promise you, I would promise you, you listening right now, I've got the perfect guy to do it. And we're going to figure out how to get it to you. Don't go anywhere, all right? We'll be right back.
Digital Broadcasting, thefringe.fm, Napa Valley, California, Little Rock, Arkansas. Hey Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, the Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
Paranormal. Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal.
The U.S. military holds the ability to time travel.
Jeremy Scott asks the questions that we're all dying to know.
Wow, that's a remarkable question.
Watch your step. Hide under your blankets.
The show that is going to make you think.
Prepare yourself for what you're about to hear.
This transmission is coming to
you. You're riding into the paranormal.
Live Saturday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern on KTLK, The Fringe.
Do you find yourself bored and longing to learn more about the mysteries and conspiracies behind our reality? Specifically, every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific? What a coincidence, because that's exactly when me, Gigi, and my lovely co-host Cortana kicked over the airwaves with just the right amount of intellectual stimulation to give you that eargasm of conversational excellence that you deserve. So be sure to check out our show, Shift Happens, every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, that's 9 to 11 Central, and let's shake some talk radio tail feather, shall we? Right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Hey, it is I, Kurt Green from the Kurt Green Hour. Come hang out with me every Wednesday night at midnight, Pacific Standard Time. As we unwind, hey, grab a cup of coffee, hang out with me, enjoy the ride. That's midnight every Wednesday night, right here on the Fringe.fm.
We're still getting strange on Sundays. Hey everyone, it's me, Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, letting you know we're on live Sunday nights right here on the Fringe FM. The Strange Sunday saga continues live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Listen on thefringe.fm or at beyondthestrange.com. Again, that's Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific. See you there.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Roop. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and
This is Rev Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
To call the show, pick up the phone and dial 501-777-5631. That's 501-777-5631.
Deep up in here. It's getting deep, and it's getting deep fast. You're being flooded with metaphysical info, like water displacement in a bucket that goes around and comes back. We're here with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Dr. Strange, Doc Ram, goes by many names.
Roger roll, Discovery.
It's glad, man. It's really awesome to have you here, and I get a lot of the stuff you're saying.
I know.
It's very hard to simplify this, though, isn't it? Sometimes.
That's your job. I'm going to give you the rules.
That's my job, right on.
That's listen, man. That's your news hour. I'm going to tell you what. Water is the first place you start in rituals. If you want to structure the water so that it works in your body correctly, the first thing you do is you get a funnel and you pour the water into the glass you're going to drink from clockwise to counteract Coriolis forces. And that will make that water structured, and you can confirm. That's a simple thing anybody can do. And just keep a diary. Watch what happens to your body.
Right on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I never heard that before.
Ritual. These pentagrams, that's 19th century. Let's get real. And AA, Order of the Silver Star. That's the inner lodge, secret lodge of OTO. You got your outer lodge, bunch of kids taking drugs and trying to figure out who they are. They got inner lodge. Well,
that's right. You're right. You're right.
Theosophical Society, lots of different roads to Rome, Amorc, whatever. The thing is, once you get it, there's inner lodges. And AA, Order of the Silver Star, or Jim or Jenna. I'm Jane Wolfbranch. That has a quote says, with a method of science is the aim of religion. It's a closed system, and neither get you there. It is about the journey.
Why are so many people afraid of it, though?
That's the first enemy of man. Read Castaneda. That takes care of that.
Right.
It's the first enemy of man, fear. Once you overcome fear, now you have some personal power. And that becomes an enemy. Power corrupts. Ultimate power corrupts ultimate. And then you start to see things more clearly.
Right.
And that becomes the third enemy. And the fourth one is the one I currently enjoy, old age.
You currently enjoy the fourth one.
Now listen, the whole thing, I'm too old to do anything about it. A teacher can only take you as far as they themselves have gone. I have been lost. And you can read my bio. You can see where I've been, literally. I was at the Pentagon's lead physicist going into Richard Nixon's office once a week. I've been there, done that. It's a bunch of weirdness. It's not the enemy. I've watched the Pentagon go at war with their bullets changing from one floor to the other. It's these little tiny cults within it. Republican Party and their secret lodge and such. They don't know goat turds from pork and beans because most of it's based on 14th, 15th, 16th century magic.
Right, Renaissance magic, yeah.
Bathe in blood, it'll make you younger. Let's do a little child, I can get younger. Pedophile. What do you think?
Pretty stupid.
Elmont Hubbard? That guy, his physicist, Jack Parsons, didn't make third degree. I am beyond 10th degree in OTO. I am now what is called 11th degree. I am a ISIS, not ISIS, I'm Oasis. Brady McMurtry, I am the only other person in history, besides Crowley, that has publications in Class B. Now, that's divine right. And go to Berlin where Breeze now moved to OTO. Listen, that's for kids trying to find themselves in their thing. The way I did it, that's a good way. Start a journal. What'll happen, writing everything that comes to you, and you knew, I just learned that imagination is reality. Write it down. The way you write it down will be the way you are talking to yourself in the future. And it is a way of time travel that I'm doing with my TARDIS. And I have a physical TARDIS. It's a biofeedback system using Mora and Endomet, German acupuncture, where I put the wire on my head and talk directly to neurotransmitters. And that 3 books is the Diamond Body, Electromagic, and Yogatronics. It's on video feedback system and how to run public. That's what I did in the 80s. What year are we? Yeah,
it's 2017 now. The world's still here. It hasn't ended yet.
Yeah, I bet it doesn't end. That's Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell said that, quote, when you see the kingdom of the Father on earth, the apocalypse has already occurred. It is perpetual in its potential. And North Korea, a little dick guy with driving a Corvette, is about to get his dick swiped because China's not digging it, Russia's not digging it. He's stupid. And that's giving everybody an opportunity change, to go in and stop that nonsense, because those people have hobbled the Japanese did to women, Chinese. Did you know that the Greek, which I consider one of the higher forms of technology in our history, worked on metaphor and the concept of archetypes and philosophy as their science? And they had 4 words for love. There was eros, philo, agape, and telema, thelema, the love of will, your purpose on earth. And now the Chinese have 12 words for love. And not one of them is for love of a woman. Where does that play? Okay, so now we have Iraq hobbling women, and we've got Virginia Slims over here in America running corporations. How's that going to play?
Well, I know this. I've got a question for you, Doc, from the chat room. Dan, our lovely Reverend Dan from the network, wants to know from Spiritual Warrior Today. He says, Joe, ask Dr. Richard Allen Miller, ask him if we can avoid the voice of God technology. Yes, I know it's broadcast into the center of the frontal lobe during in-between states of consciousness, but can we avoid it?
Human's resident voice of the planet. That's Michael Tobias at Berkeley and the Snow Leopard. He followed after Ernest Callenbach, who wrote Ecotopia, when Oregon, Washington, and California, the free state of Jefferson, seceded from the Union in 1984 and opened their doors in 1999 to show the rest of the world how we use bicycles like Amsterdam. Now, it's a book on Schumann's resonance is not changing. It's a physical geometric constant having to do with the size of the Earth and lightning strikes. It sets up a resonant cavity oscillation like Titan is at 4. And your body has evolved aortic arch. That is, and that, this is old technology. What you're doing is entraining the brain at 7.83 cycle, because the heartbeat hits a stochastic wave when it hits the aortic arch. And it's just the right amount, thump, thump, create Schumann's resonance for entrainment of the brain. And then we start working with brain drivers to jumpstart the brain like we do drugs. That's in my book, Power Tools. And that's one of the other ones I use for Navy SEALs. We do brain entrainment and frequency following function. So we train the brain to focus. And basically, you have a number of different brains in your body. And the first one starts with the enteric nervous system, which runs everything, because that one is outside space-time. That one is a habitat. You are no longer what you eat, whom you feed. Your diet is essential in how that plays as a galaxy, microverse, and moving, and everybody's different. You can, when you're eating too much sugar, you can smell the mold. Candida smells. It's your armpits. You can smell it.
Does that go back to the old teachings of like true alchemy, the energetic transmutation?
That's what we're talking about. And what I'm going to say is, as alchemy led to chemistry. So now physics will lead to magic with mystery schools. And there'll be things like the Bene Gesserit, and they'll have one teaching or following belief systems, and there'll be another one like the Space Guild, or the Mentat. It'll be just like Frank Herbert predicted, because that is, in fact, the religions and dogma. Now, the dogma part, I'm watching that Mentat, and I believe in I will, and I'm not going into a trance state, and no holding the keel, no holding the keel. That place is called Cimarron and Budgeon. And if you want to hear Gaia, at the end of the rainbow, sing the so-called Terence McKenna 0-point energy, that's in the right ear, and that's called the voice of the silence. And that comes straight out of the Upanishads and old technologies, and there are 10 sounds that you can hear, and which one you hear determines where you are spiritually.
Yeah, I know. When we've talked about alchemy on here, and people, and I've heard it time and time again. Alchemy, it's all about consciousness and awareness. Or I've had an alchemical transmutation when I woke up. I'm thinking, come on.
If you want to, it's a metaphor. I'm going to change lead into gold. I'm going to change myself into an angel. You aspire to something more like David Copperfield. Please, sir, can I have some more porridge? You're hungry. And if you don't think other animals are not hungry also, I believe personally, and it's my own choice, that there are 4 life forms on this earth more evolved than man, technically. And then we've got Nephilim running around as Sasquatch, mutants, whatever. And I did a BBC one on a skull they found in Pennsylvania in 1820, before they had this nonsense of close encounters. And I'm going to tell you that film, Nephilim, it's in the Bibles, plural, and you'll find them everywhere, and they were giants. And they're digging up skulls everywhere. Some of it's bogus, some of it is not. That's how they do crop circles. I watched a crop circle in Sweden photographed in 6 minutes because of a belch from the earth. Set up a cymatic system, and a leaf fell just like it would standing waves. But mostly it's a bunch of weird farmers with toothpicks in their mouth trying to mess with people. And that's really what most crop circles are. I've seen them actually happen. And that is a resonant cavity oscillation from the earth belching, doing something weird. And it hits a resonance, and everything drops like cymatics. You set up sacred geometry like the Buddhists did, like chanting across water. And if you get the tonal correct, that you can create a resonance on that water. And from the cup size of drum physics, vessel function, you can create the sacred geometry called a Sri Yantra. Now, I have studied this for the military, trying to figure out what's BS and what's real. And I have come to the conclusion it's all real. It all starts with imagination. And once you train that mind, there it is. And I'm going to leave some footprints. And guess what? I'm not so special. I am just a lead scout, because if I get a Nobel Prize, I'm going to probably have to share it. Other people have the same. They're other lead scouts. I'm just one. And if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm going to live to 120.
I hope you do live to be 120. I can't wait to have you on the show on your 120th birthday.
It's not going to be about a gift from the God. I'm going to do it and earn it.
Now, what about what's his name? The Count that lived forever. I can't think of his name.
Saint Germain. That's in Umberto Eco's Foucault's Pendulum. And he wrote Name of the Rose, and then Foucault's Pendulum, and the Bloodlines of Christ, that 4th genome, rhesus negative. Yeah, we've all got it. Did you know that? Even if you're AB positive, you still have O negative in you. There it is. It's in the genes. You got it. By George, the Reign in Spain. You're all doomed to immortality. That's it. If you want it. That's the choice you have.
So I want to ask you your opinion of the Golden Dawn system of ceremonial magic. Do you think it's outdated?
The difference between the Chariot and the Hierophant?
Yeah.
That's Crowley doing his little thing with Samuel McGregor, man. They had a war. It got a lot of people join the church.
Yeah, but wasn't it the first original system, though?
Original systems. There was only one original system, and the rest were grimoires or translations from previous centuries of the original book and only book written on magic, the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon. And that's where it all started. And the second paragraph in that book says, ownership is enhanced when shared with another. Read it and weep. That's what it's about. It's not about gain and money. You do magic for money. You'll get your money. A truck will run over and you get medical expenses. It's nuts, man. You get what you ask for, but not exactly the way you had in mind, because your mind isn't clever enough. And so what ends up happening is
the big bad wolf comes in. Huh?
Well, yeah, you do it for spiritual growth because that's worth it.
Yeah, I talked to a Hierophant in one of the Golden Dawn orders today, and he said that high magic is not it's not meant for material gain or anything. It's meant for ascension.
That's all it's about. And spirituality is not what you do, but how you do it.
Right.
Intent over purpose. Purpose, none shall say nay. Intent is what actually happens at the end of the day. And that's where your karma runs over your dogma.
The only thing I saw different, though, between OTO and Golden Dawn is that Crowley would actually test you. You had to pass certain tests.
Yeah, you know what I had to do for my advancement? One of my advancements? It bound me in equal weight with chain and put me inside a tub and sealed it underwater.
Jeez, man, that's crazy.
Well, it is a metaphor for what I can do physically is a reflection of what I'm doing spiritually. Now, I learned how to get out of that one easy enough because my grandfather taught Houdini how to do it. And that's where I started. And Phyllis Seckler, who was Grady's wife and ran the College of Thelema, I have all of that here. Listen, she broke a circle one day, and that's when I stopped working with her. Because magic is rigorous, and even Walt Disney and the Sorcerer's Apprentice knows better than to break a circle. Oh, the door's ringing. So what? That's what your sergeant at arms is about. Get a grip. You stay rigorous. And the rigor is what distinguishes you from the difference between an ethical man and a moral man. An ethical man knows not to cheat on his wife. A moral man won't. When you walk your talk, that's where the thunder lies.
Right.
Okay.
But all of this stuff goes back to ancient Hermetics. Now, Hermetics...
And there it is. And they did. Listen, we have been here before.
Yeah.
You know, they're Clovis right now, and they had a space fight. You go to the Cave of Dreams over in France, and they say, oh, there's a bison on the wall. Caveman. No. Closer inspection, you look at those dots around the eyes, and that's a star map. And you go further south in that other cave, and there's a star map is in reverse, which means they are witnessing it from space. And then we have Vermana, and we have the throne chariot of God. What I gave you on the dodecahedral universe, your time machine, your space vehicle, is a face-center cubic hexagonal close pack structure that you envision in your mind's eye, and it sets up a resonance in the brain. Sacred geometry, when you envision it, that's the diamond body, the electromagic, and yogatronics, and they will sequel the holistic Kabbalah, the 12 books on pathworking. And I go as far as that, which is beyond union with self, because that's where I am now. I'm on path 13. And I can tell you the two outer paths that go to Kether, God, are the hermit or the lovers. You do it as a grumpy old man, you have an internal reflection in the external world with a mate. It's androgyny, has many forms. And it's a metaphor when you start to understand what the true principles of union with God, which is what we seek. But before you can do union with God, you must reach Tiphereth, union with self. And that's Maslow. And I am a scholar that has done the work. I've studied under the best minds I could get. I taught with Alan Watts at Cold Mountain I taught with him on Buddhism. I did Shaolin form, which was the way I was raised in the Philippines. And I can tell you, I don't know. It is about the journey and the moment. And that's where all the richness lies. And when you drop in that moment, like Ali does in Contact, Now you are in sacred over the profane.
Is this dodecahedron? Is this the same thing that they call the Merkaba and the Merkaba mysteries?
Merkaba. It's Merkaba. Yes. It's
Merkaba.
all. Yeah, that's all technology. That's their technology that we now call nuclear fusion, nuclear fission, structured water. The structured water concept, exclusion zone, is being studied at MIT now. It's our primary form of cold fusion. Brown's gas, all the rest of that. I'm right in there, man. That my last chapter I'm writing right now is called Rock the Casimir, or Adventures in Time Travel. And you want to see the Casimir? Watch Meetings with Remarkable Men, the dance scene in the movie.
Yeah,
you'll watch. Yeah. Okay, 19, Dervish. Do a cadence step, click, 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 3, 6, 9. There it is. Technology showing you how to do it. Yeah, and that's what the military had me study, like the Nazis.
I still think Revelations is talking about that, and when he's talking about the cubits, the kingdom of heaven that's the size of a man, that's that of an angel, and it's the size, the length and the width and the height of it is the same, right?
Yeah. Imagine Mrs. Robinson, where God has a special place in heaven for her.
Yeah. But if you draw it on a piece of paper.
The humor, man. If I were to get serious, I have to, because I am a young kid playing with fire. I'm a scientist that knows I don't know.
You haven't blown yourself up yet, though.
Not yet. Stay tuned. Film and deliver. Same bat channel.
What's the most dangerous experiment you think you've ever done?
I conjured up a demon in front of a bunch of people on the beaches up north in Bellingham, and it scared the bejesus out of everything. What happened was exactly. I'm not kidding. What happened?
I don't know why I'm laughing, but I believe you.
A nervous release. Okay, that's how you laugh. That's getting rid of that extra weirdness. Okay, what happened was, doing the ritual, we're doing it right by. And I'm not even going to tell you which book I'm doing. I did it, and I wanted to see what happened. What happened is we had the fire, and all of a sudden, the wind on the beach changed, and instead of whipping the smoke across the beach, it all of a sudden stopped, and the smoke went straight up and formed an image. Demon, lesser, metaphor. And then the wind changed, and it blew the demon across my circle, and I was certainly glad I was inside it.
You're right. But what about everybody else that wasn't in the circle? They took off running, right?
Okay, now that I know that it's real, that's that book on that terrible book on Mr. Something or Other and Magic or something. There's a BBC movie on Netflix about magic. Mr. and Dr. Something or Other. Yeah, like Dr. Strange and Mr. Worf. I don't know. Look, what I'm trying, and I'm not Dr. Strange. What I am is Doc Ram, and I'm Rick. Engineers go by Dick, physicists go by Rick, and I'm more. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a medical doctor. And I'm not a Jungian psychotherapist. I'm all of that to create something more. And Shanti Maya just came on to say hi. She's a woman that runs an ashram in India. There's, these French people that have a lot of money. They run these different ashrams. They all, a teacher can only take you as far as they themselves have been. And I have literally been to Mars. I'll tell you what,
that's
CERN,
cool.
CERN,
that's really cool.
Here's the bad news. You thought AIs were bad? CERN creates a rapid transit system from Geneva over to Fermi Labs in Chicago. And let me tell you, what comes out the other end is not you. It's a clone. How does that work?
Wait, what?
Now you get the big picture. So we're playing with all kinds of weird things now.
Are you talking about like a doppelganger? Like somebody that looks just like me? Is that what you mean? Like that kind of clone?
By location, or wait. Maybe multiverse access, where you can physically change the laws on the physical plane, not just for yourself, but for the masses. Or how did Borg put it? Resistance is futile. Yeah, right. Listen. Yeah, you had to go back in time on that. I have a literal time traveling machine.
I wonder if that's what the Mandela effect everybody's tripping on all the time, if that's what that is.
That is when Star Wars comic changes the dialogue wrongly. Oops. Check it out. Star Wars comic over the movie. There it is. That's where your Mandela started. Okay, it gets better. The media plays that as another false flag. And whoopsie daisies, let's do a couple of movies where we change things a little bit so everybody has a whoops. Actually, everything happens for a reason. Everything leads to something better. And there's nobody that can change you. You can be fooled, like laser main hypnosis and walk like a duck. Quack, quack, quack. You want to participate? Go for it. Those are called lemmings.
Yeah, well, the literal version, the literal interpretation of spiritual text is what drives me crazy. When people read a nursery rhyme and they take it literally.
You get a passage that you don't understand, you write it down in your diary, and you come talk to me, and I'll give you what my take is on it. You add that to several of your friends, and then your gut will tell you what's true for you. That's how that works.
Right? Yeah. That's
not me.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not you. Listen, and it's always first thought, not the second one. It comes from your upper brain. That brain needs discipline, man. It's out of control, and it's what's causing an apocalypse. The world's coming to an end. Well, how could it not? Everybody thinking it is.
That's exactly what I was trying to tell a partner of mine on the show the other night. If we all come together and keep thinking this, we're going to manifest this.
I don't like the kumbaya part with blue hairs and a bunch of old granola. But, yeah, well, that's what I call these spiritual beliefs. Their shit doesn't smell like mine does. And, I know I don't know. And I have a better sense of what's right and real because that's why the military used me. If I come to a fork in the road, I just instinctively knew which way the technology would go. I was at MIT, graduate student, when Corning came out with fluidic devices as a computer. This is when we had monolithic chips before, gallium arsenide forming forbidden zones. I'm that old. And I watched Corning had a computer that used puffs of air, Schmidt triggers, and did NOR NAND logic, not AND or not. It was much faster as object-oriented and later became Squill. I write code. And I tell you, that's why the military used me. I'm a gifted. And I got it immediately. And it was all about money. How did what's it, my comedian put it? He said, God has everything, but he needs more money.
Yeah, that was George Carlin. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like I see where it's like the last grand illusion. This is Zen Gardner that everybody criticized, part of Children of God. And while he was a really good writer, I don't care what else he did. I was impressed with his writing. And he quotes from the Bordeaux the Dawn when he said, and this is in the Bordeaux the Dawn, you can confirm this, the last grand illusion is at the moment of your death, you have a choice. And what you're going to have is a tunnel of light with all your friends down there waving at you, or you're going to have the blue light. You have that choice.
Which one do we go to, Rick?
That's your quest to answer. And I'm not going to tell you. I will go to the blue light. I'm tired of this place off the wheel. But all of us have that little doggy, just like an Astral City. That is a movie everybody should see. It's on Hulu. I'll give you a link in a minute. I've got it. Wait a minute. I'll do it right now. Phil Rice, a friend of mine. Oh, he's got a bunch of my other things. He was so kind. When my father died last year, a couple of years ago, I had just seen this movie, and I was able to process it just before my dad. He helped me copy. And then I'm going back here, and there is Astral City. It's free. Not Hulu. And what did I do? Demon Seed again, or is it coming in? What do you say? I can't tell.
I'm lost.
You get it?
I see it though. Yeah, Demon Seed, 1977.
Well, a movie called Astral City. Astral City is about the person What they do is the movie starts in Portuguese, so it has English subtitles. The doctor is watching himself die on the operating table. Code blue, we're losing him. He's watching all of this, and all of a sudden, we've lost him. And the scene changes, and he's got a head underwater, and he takes a breath of air, and he comes back into reality. And where he is on Earth, where everybody is in pain and walking around in rain, mud, and everything like that. And then a bunch of his relatives and best friends come down out of the light to take him home.
I think I've seen that on Gaia, actually.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. That's the one I wanted you to quote up, and I'll get that link. I'll make sure I did it wrong, so I'll get that link to you. Astral City helped me process my dad's death, and then I went back to Kubler-Ross, and I spent 2 weeks in the jungle with Eben Alexander down in Mexico, and with my mentor, Dr. Stanley Krippner. Krippner is my mentor, by the way, and Stan Krippner, Maimonides Dream Lab, Saber Institute, that guy. And he comes to visit me every year, and I'm dedicating the non-local mind and holographic universe to his honor and living memory. He's the one that took me to Prague, that started this whole journey. I was introduced to Edgar Mitchell in 1970, so I was at Mission Control to do the ESP studies with Ed out on the moon with James Hertak and some others, and wrote down ESP induction, forms of self-hypnosis. The first protocol trade seals are how to think with the gut. And I am now walking in doing a series of universes that most people don't even understand yet. And I am navigating slowly. Stay tuned on how this all works.
I believe you.
Oh no, it's I am encountering creatures. Are you a human or a creature? When she puts the gum jobber in his neck. Yeah, the Benny Jesuit. Are you a creature or a human?
Is remote viewing and astral travel different in your opinion? Are they different things?
That's Alex Calvarainen, and finished excellent physicist. Boosted up Jerry's meth in water. He's did now his successor, Matty Pitkinen, is also writing on that in Emergent Mind Bulletin, a zine on the internet. And that's edited by Lynn Sidorov. She's Russian, took some years off, have a child, and raise her. And Emergent Mind, the old stuff, you'll find by Alex Cavarina and remote viewing. That is PK phenomena, which means you are allowing something to see you. And you pick up what they see. And
that's remote viewing, right?
Yes.
Okay, but astral travel is different. It's got to be, because I've practiced and tried remote viewing, and I can't get it done.
You want to do Out on a Limb with Shirley MacLaine. Trust me. Robert Monroe. You do that. He started at Berkeley with Journeys Out of the Body, and then moved to his Hemisync and brain drivers that he used. I use Centerpoint, which is more Scientology. You got to be real careful around those creeps. They'll troll. But I absolutely like Kelly Howell's works in Albuquerque. She's got brain drivers that are really interesting on Kundalini and some other things that will do strange things to your body. Now, if you train yourself using these things, there are risks, because when you jumpstart
the big bad wolf again, right?
Well, let me give you an example. For example, it takes 30 years to get what Persinger measures as a bliss state in the brain states. Meditator takes about 30 years. Okay, I'm 73. How do I get there quick?
Right.
Well, driver will get you there in 2 years, but you will also experience bifurcation at the brain receptors. That'll usually come in the third week, and all of a sudden you're hallucinating, like you're on LSD for about 4 hours.
Another term by Dr. Richard Allen Miller, brain drivers. You'll find that in his work quite a bit. Yeah, so, yeah, go ahead. Just some people, I'm trying to interpret. You said it was my job. I'm trying to interpret, So
I'm old. I have to sing for my dinner, and what I'm doing is writing. Nobody can make a living at writing, so I'm going to work as 3 writers.
There you go. All right.
Encyclopedia of Alternative Agriculture, 9 volumes.
I'm actually writing an article about this, but I found that when you were talking about Dr. Monroe, where he was talking about in his books how he first would have the first body, then the second body. So he realized he had multiple bodies. And then if you look into the
metaphors and the way consciousness tries to identify,
but if you look into the occult text, is what I'm trying to say, Doc. Just 1 second. If you look into the occult text, they talk about the lunar body and the solar body. And he's trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm sitting here looking at it going, it's the same thing, right?
Well, exactly right. You know, the moon is the fastest moving object in your universe right now, which means it's your trigger for when you start and end something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then you start working with planets for metaphor. Jupiter for health and expansion, and a consciousness as Uranus is your higher consciousness of sun. And so you work that way. And here's the bad news. And you were talking about Nibiru and all that kind of thing. Guess what? Both Stanford and Caltech have now said, there's 4 new planets out there by Saturn. Where did they come from? Well, they belong to our binary, and they've just come in from the Oort clouds passing through. And that's why we're having weird anomaly. I remember when the sun used to be yellow.
Yeah, it's white now. It's weird.
Well, there's planetary movement out there that's interfering. Janov in cosmobiology. Cosmobiology was a technology that Prague had when psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. We knew about aliens. Back then, we were way more worried about what the Russians were doing. The Russians had Kaluga and some of these other weird people, and that's a bunch of hokey pokey. Prague was on it. And they had technologies we still don't have here in the U.S. And one of them was called cosmobiology. One of the projects I did for the military was vet their one that when the planet Uranus and the Earth and the Sun are in a particular geometric alignment, major earthquake happens. 3 sigma air coefficient. I went back in history using a 360 computer at Boeing to vet that. And it's absolutely dead on. 3 sigma means when that geometric alignment occurs, there is a 99.99975% probability of that event happening. That's 3 sigma. And let me tell you this, there's no known laws on how Uranus can possibly affect the Earth. Now, the Jupiter has the storms on it, and when the storms reverse, interesting things happen with human consciousness. I think that the physical plane is a dream state that consciousness is dreaming. And that your so-called awake state is asleep. And there are a whole series of Aborigines, Hopi.
Hopi, yeah, the Hopi. That's what their philosophy was.
They see lucid dreaming having more content of reality than a conscious waking state. And everybody wants to be conscious. They don't want to be altered. Well, I remember Altered Walter Cronkite, and I am Jack Kerouac. And I'm going to tell you that there's other things you can do. You experiment. And when you take a mind altering, you are literally performing an act of magic. And if you do not have some sort of circle of protection, that goes back to Leary again. Set and setting. You better be careful.
Wow.
There it is. I said it. And that's where it's at. And now you're getting the bigger picture. We are little children with no clue of what we're potentially capable of. What you conceive of as God. I can't change the weather like Cloudbusters and Oregon yet. I'm getting real close to that. I watched 2 Hopi, Navajo. They did a sand painting. They're doing a sand painting, and as they're doing it, it was like something out of Independence Day. A big cloud coming in.
You talking about cloud bursting?
Country, and then Navajo looked at me, looked down at the sand painting, winked at me, and broke the sand painting. The weather went back to normal. And I stepped back and I looked at that sand painting, and it looked like a solid-state physics device. Technology has many faces. It's not about technology. It's about the way the mind dictates which universe you're in. And that's why the saints talk about going home to such kind.
How in the hell can the military and all these programs that they're doing this stuff that you're talking about, how many people are involved with this stuff? I mean, I know we talk about it, but,
I watched, what is that? Dancing with Wolves. What's that one? Eating Raoul. It's one of those army things where he's trying to run through a wall and he had the wrong mindset. That's why Navy ruled the world, man. Nobody's got a clue. And that's why they use people like me that actually did the homework in Magick and understood what is and is not important.
Right on. That's kind of freaky, though, if you think about it.
Okay. Even Walt Disney knew when taking acid, all that, knew that you had to have a circle of protection. If you're going to take a mind altering, you need to lock down, set and setting. You don't go public, dance. What do you think is going to happen next? Oh, Lilith, the first woman will come up. It's called, that's Ariel Masters and sexual psychopathologies of witchcraft, eros and evil. And that's where Lilith comes in, where you consort with demons and you create this movie, Demon Seed. Watch that Demon Seed. That'll get you off.
I'll pass.
Well, your AI concern is absolutely dead on. Why? When I wrote this sci-fi when I was in high school, and we didn't even have computers. Remember, I was doing Fortran when those Negroes were doing it for NASA, and I was a high school kid. And I right out of the gate, I had big balls on me. I'll tell you, I was groomed all the way through to be this monster I am now. And I'll tell you what I do know. When you, oh Jesus, where do you go with this thing? The idea is when you think something that, okay, I'll do it this way. The Masonic secret is simple. It's the thought that occurs at the moment of climax. Happens. That's the Mass of the Holy Ghost and abbreviation. And it's your thoughts punctuated with emotion and directed absolutely that cause psyche into matter. And a demon, poltergeist, is a thought that is trapped in matter and wants to go home to the multiverse. It can't. It's locked.
It's pissed off. Yeah.
No. It's
aggravated.
Actually full of matter. Here's the bad news. A poltergeist is a life form like you that died but can't go home, ghost. Okay, but there turns out to be maggots that eat away at that. And at some point, that poltergeist is no longer you. It's subhuman. And that is the bad news. The good news is your belief system with garlic, you can just walk around the thing with garlic and throw it out the door. That takes care of that. Just like that.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. That's magic. How does that work? I mean, because literally garlic is, I mean, think about it.
And you can't have doubt. You do absolutely know. That's what makes it so.
That's it. That's the secret. That's the secret.
I have a verification. I can check it on the physical plane and measure it. I no longer use space and time. I measure it by information. And bad news on that is that information is also not what you think it is, because it is hierarchy of the same thing. Like your physical plane and your emotional plane is how you feel about the physical plane. So you got layers of it like a fractal. And the problem is to be able to measure it. How do you measure it? Length, width, and width. We already know that space is curved. That means the shortest distance between 2 points is not a straight line. So what asymptotes are we going to use? What postulates, axioms, theorems are we going to work with? And you set up your universe metaphorically. I use science as my measure. The method of science is the aim of religion. It's a closed system.
Hey, Lon Milo Duquette told me that, you were talking about the male and female climax. He told me that, he's also in the OTO. He told me that the universe was actually one big universal climax between these energies.
Big Bang Theory. With, Mr. Natural doing Susie Cream Cheese. I saw that comic. Oh, listen, the Big Bang.
He's not talking about the Big Bang, I don't think. But
well, no. There were 2 universes created, and I have written about that, a reflected universe. One's going forward in time, the other's going backward in time, and it was the moment. And what you're trying to do is fill that hourglass, the infinity. And that is where the profane becomes a sacred, and something is now timeless, like this radio interview.
Do you think that has anything to do with the Adam and Eve fruit story?
Snakes? Spiders? Ew! How about before Eve? There was Lilith. What was that? That's our EO Masters. The Masters in Houston. When they split up, she started taking drugs. She's neurotic. He went up to Canada and wrote Eros and Evil, the sexual psychopathologies of witchcraft. And there it is. You consort with demons, masturbation. Remember when you are doing a loose masturbation or you're doing whatever you're doing, and you're not controlling. If you think about another woman while you're having an orgasm, guess what happens?
I mean, I don't really have to guess.
Getting the bigger picture. You just choose not to. So I see that because you're distracted. Legs. She's got legs. That's ZZ Top. You want to be careful. And that's the difference between ethical and moral. Ethical knows not to do. Moral won't.
Are you saying that you could become possessed at that point?
What do you mean can be? You are.
You already are possessed, right?
Yeah. Get a grip, man. And you got all sorts of, what do they call them? Klingons. Yeah, the trouble with tribbles. They multiply and they eat away, just like they do poltergeists in alternate universes. There are maggots everywhere.
Yeah, I've actually seen those during astral travel, these entities that try to eat away at your energy.
You can see ectoplasm. When you go in an altered state, you can see there's a cloud of energy coming toward you. That's like a UFO. UFO isn't really coming at you. When you see a real UFO, that's how you know the difference, is that when you look at it, it is no longer jumping, coming right at you, because it's jumping in space-time. And that's a magnetic monopole, actually, that Boeing has now. But I'll tell you what I do know. It's a metaphor of the way your consciousness is trying to grasp something that it can't in the normal five senses. And that's why they call it, I was going to say this earlier, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairascension. Always put it in one of your five senses. How distorted is that? Well, Gregory Bateson put it clearly. He said, what is your metaphor? To serve your paradox. And so I have a black ox touching noses with a white ox in a meadow. How's that work?
I couldn't tell you. That's your paradox.
That's a paradigm of paradox in a meadow. Your paradox and your metaphor. What's your metaphor? Serve your paradox. Now that's how badly it gets translated when you go from one subsystem to another. And resonance is the same thing. And to hit the perfect pitch, 436, what is it? 438, not 440. Nazi. You have this metaphor going on with different kinds of resonances. And they do different universes. And you're going in and out of different altered states probably 20 times, maybe 100 times in 1 minute. It's time to train.
How can we control something like that?
Meditation is the way most people do it. There are toys, enhancements, neural wear. Yeah, I have the thing called Norman Spin Rack.
No, it's not the same hat that Doc had in the Back to the Future when he had that thing on his head, is it?
It's more like a Mad Hatter, and I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. Got to see me in my Mad Hatter hat.
I'd like to see a picture of that, actually.
I've got it, and I'm kissing my Glock and licking it while I have it. Just kidding. How's that one? How did Yoda put it? Oh, yes. My gun you may have. After I give you my bullets, I will.
Man, you know what? It's like in an hour and a half trying to interpret everything you're teaching us.
I tried to give it to you, and the vulgar won't get it, and the adept will get it, try to use it, and the exempt don't even need it. That's three ways of being in the world. The vulgar get audited, the adept gets money back from the government, and the exempt has a 501c3.
Yeah, I asked him during the break. I said, listen, I've got to figure out how to simplify this stuff so we can get it down to where the...
we'll just keep having to do it. Why don't you...
He said, that's your job.
Bring me on in your little half-hour news, and we'll straighten it out that way.
Okay. I don't know if that's possible, but we can try.
I know. You got to do something just for the jokes. But the thing is, it's humor is what crosses and forms in the middle of the abyss between the hermit and the lovers. That's the path that goes through the middle of the abyss. And that's knowledge through wisdom. And it's after you have union with self, Tippereth, then you encounter God.
He's talking about the Kabbalah, folks, if you don't understand that language.
How to get back home. Yeah, roadmap. That's right. That's a roadmap to Rome. That's how to get back home. And you got to find out where you are before you can take the road back, because you might be in Chicago or you might be in Seattle.
That's what they were teaching you with the tarot, the arcana. It wasn't really about seeing your future.
There are kind of 22 different big stories in the universe. That means you, in Jungian psychotherapy, you are either possessed one story going on, or you're complex, more than one. And you can't get out of jail. Now, but there's stories in the big city, and they're metaphors of psyche at the well of souls. These are the stories, and this is the way the technology of the Greek went. And to identify which archetype you're identifying with, it tells you how it ends. How you want to end like that or not. Change the movie. There it is. That's what magic is about. Taking personal control of your universe.
And that is possible. And I don't know if anybody after the show...
Merlin said it to Arthur. Anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody after the show is going to understand, if I'm sure most of you still don't understand how it works.
Took me a lifetime.
But I guess that's why it's a sacred mystery. Now, I'm going to ask you one last question before we get out of here, okay?
Yeah.
These people that I run into them, and I've talked to people that don't understand it. They see Freemasonry, they see the Golden Dawn, the Rosicrucians, the Jesuits, all this stuff. They see their symbolism. They look at it and go, well, these are people trying to take over the world.
How did Crowley put it? The slaves shall serve. That's it.
Yeah, so it's a mentality. It's not really
art. Supreme individual sovereignty. Start with a physical plane like with water. Make sure you have 3 days of water on hand and a backup plan on how to replace it the first day. That's a good place to start for Magick.
Just water, huh?
Well, if the grid goes down and you're 13 floors up in New York City and you have to take a dump, where's that going to work?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do.
Yeah, okay. So now what you have to do, start with water. Pour it clockwise down to drink it, and make sure you have 3 days on hand in your shelf for every single person in the life. How much water is that? You need 100 grams. You need your kilo and body weight in grams. That means if you're 150 pounds, you need 150 grams of water.
Well, we got to get out of here. Do you want to tell everybody how to find you, your information, get those audio books so you can get all of this in, because it's way more than an hour and a half. How can they find you?
It took me 15 courses. It took 15 courses. I started with Isabel Hickey and astrology as a cosmic science. When I was at MIT, that's where I took astrology.
Right on.
Isabel. Well, I started really young as a little kid, and I knew I didn't know, and I wanted something more. And then what meta means is beyond, and para also means beyond.
Well, you can find him at richardallenmiller.com. I'll answer it for you. I'm supposed to interpret it.
Yeah, and docram.com takes you to Facebook, and the tour reflections of what I'm doing. I post every day of what I think is important in the universe.
Right on.
Thanks, by the way.
Thanks for coming out. It's been a blast, Doc. Can't wait to do it again.
Well, tell me how it explodes that way.
All right, guys, that's it. We got to get out of here. Don't forget, tomorrow night on the program, Ryan Gable from the Secret Teachings radio show. That is going to be very interesting. See you guys tomorrow night. Live Void executive producer is Joe Root. Music by Chronox and our very own Spaceboy at spaceboymusic.com. This program cannot be broadcasted or syndicated without written permission.